Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're looking at the Borg cube. Uh, the Borg cube, as listed here on our Decipher book, is a combination of weapon platform and factory ship. This twofold purpose is to destroy all encountered opposition and to assimilate new species into the collective. Cubes attack with relentless and disturbingly harmonious determination, and they are a symbol of the horrible simplicity of the Borg's objectives. So, featuring, let's see, we have the Borg cube features a decentralized design with no specific bridge, engineering section, or crew quarters. Every one of the 640,000 drones on board is but a single part of the cube's collective consciousness. Without the drones, the cube itself is nothing but a large, complicated piece of machinery that can be destroyed like any other machine. Every action or every section of the cube is designed to adapt to whatever need is at hand, be it assimilation of new species, destroy any resistance, analyze their opponent's strategies, or adapt to whatever the situation merits. For all the vast technology, the cube's key feature is its adaptability. If an opponent prevents an attack, their defenses are analyzed and their attack is altered to counter. Simply, the cube systems can be adjusted to adapt to an opponent's attacks by varying its deflector shield frequency or nutrition. Major damage can be repaired quickly, including damage resulting from direct phaser hits. Its adaptability lies in the fact that every drone is a part of the collective conscious. Everything a drone learns, the collective learns. While everything the collective knows, the drone knows. Every drone can carry out any function assigned to it. This feature is also the cube's Achilles heel. To control a single drone is to control the collective. This, however, is easier said than done. Once a drone is disabled in some way, another drone typically destroys it. In the event that the player characters manage to capture one, it is possible to control the entire cube via the drone. Through the drone's command module, characters can attempt a target number, and here it would be 25 computer use. Um, that would be a very difficult because in say like the D6 version, which is what we're using here. So I would still use a target number of 25. Uh, in a lot of the because Modifius is doing things, I would say in that regard, if you're doing this in a Modifius, I would say you would need like four, maybe five successes. So you can easily translate some of these numbers over to other systems. Let's see, computer use, which would be an invasion skill test to access the hive following a successful rate or successful test. Make another computer use test to issue each command. The target number varies based on the command's complexity, ranging from activating the sleep cycle, target number 10, which would be probably a 2 success on Modifius, um, to return to Unimatrix 0 and attack the Queen, target number 25, again, probably 5 successes from Modifius, depending on the complexity of the orders the crew wants to issue and the level of narrative detail desired. Narrators should treat more involved orders as an extended test, which I'm not going to read that part of it. Um, let's see. All right. Due to the cybernetic nature of the inhabitants, cubes are prone to excessive damage from electrokinetic storms. which effectively short circuit both the cube and drones. This kills the drones and leaves the ship incapacitated. Borg cubes are also particularly prone to damage from the organic weapons of species 8472 and solar flares whose ambient heat is too intense to adapt to. So the funny thing is, now this is something we see in the Star Wars, but not the Star Trek. Seeing that, I'd love to mash everything together. Um, an ion cannon would probably be very damaging to the Borg because essentially you're shutting down all the computer components. So then it would just be left to whatever uh, actual flesh to keep things going. But without having a hive mind, it would just be in a kind of like a loop, not knowing what it should do because it doesn't have the collective to tell it what it should do. So it would be kind of stuck. So keeping that in mind. But to look at the stats that we have from D6 Holocron, keeping it back into the Star Trek universe. Let's see. So this is a multi-purpose vessel. It is at capital scale. It's 3 kilometers uh, all the way around. So 3 kilometers tall, 3 kilometers wide, 3 kilometers deep. You get the idea. Starship size, it's rated at a 16. It's one of the biggest ships that we get. Um, Not exactly the biggest, but one of them. Has an autopilot of 40 plus 1 because of the collective. Now, in here it says crew is 64,000. In the book that I just read from was 640,000. So keep that in mind. Skeleton crew, you can do it with one. Passengers are 0. Cargo capacity is 1,000,000 metric tons. Consumables for 3 years. Has a warp drive of 568.7, a transwarp drive of 0.045. And they go into the notes on this. Has a nav computer. Maneuverability is only a +1. Space is a 9.5. Hull is 21 dice +1. Shields is 4D. So, I mean, this thing can just take massive amounts of damage. Let's see. Sensors. It can passively scan out to 6.5 kilometers. It can do an active scan to 13.5 kilometers, an active search out to 18 kilometers, and a focus out to 600 meters. Now you look at the numbers. Passively, you get a bonus of 2D plus 2. Our active is a 3D plus 2. Search is a 4D plus 1. And our focus is a 5D plus 1. These are very significant numbers there. Weapon-wise, we have 24 Borg energy beams, 4 per cube side. Now they can fire twice per round with a fire control of 3D plus 1 and does 5D damage per attack. Now we have 18 Borg cutting beams, 3 per cube side. Let's see, we have a fire control of 3D plus 1, and this is a special damage. Essentially, it's just going to carve off a section of the ship. And regrettably, whatever consequences that ship then takes is going to be onto that ship. We have 6 Borg feedback pulse generators, 1 per cube side. The rate of fire is 1. Let's see. We have 18 Borg shield drainers, 3 per cube side. Fire control is 3D plus 1. Fire rate is 1. Has special damage, just like the pulse generators. We have 18 Borg torpedo launchers. Fire control is 3D plus 1, has a spread of 12, and they do 10D damage. So this can really do massive amounts of damage to very many different species, very many different types of ships. 24 class Delta tractor beams, 4 per side. Fire control is 2D plus 2, and strength is 4D plus 1. Now, crew, we have uh, 64,000 alcoves, or if you wanted it to have what the book was reading, 640,000, which I think is probably where it should be. I'm, I've said this many times before. Anytime you go from one source to another source, you get little discrepancies here and there. Take it for what it is, however you want to do this. We have estimated 1,100 decks. We have no escape pods. We have specialized hull, Borg ship regeneration. Maximum life support is 137,500. Transporters, we have 20 personnel or personal for six beings on each one. We have 20 emergency with 40 persons on each one. We have 10 cargo for 800 kilograms uh, per transport. Complement various small Borg ships throughout 25 bays and 500 probes. Now, all the extra stuff that they've got in here. So we do have transwarp drive. The vessel may travel at transwarp speeds of 97.65 hours, 50,000 light years before the transwarp coil needs to be replaced. Description: Borg Cube is the primary starship class for the Borg Collective Fleet. Borg Cubes are designed as a combination weapons platform and factory. We kind of read through all that stuff. Overview. Now let's kind of pass over all this stuff. We had some extra stuff here, um, and I don't see it being listed. So, trying to see if I can find when they were talking about our special stuff here. I don't see it offhand, so that's kind of a crux. But when we talk about our, let's see, we got special Borg shield drainers. I would say with a successful attack, you could probably drain one die per round. I'm just throwing that out there as something that could be done. Um, just leaving it there. And when we talk about the feedback pulse generators, again, that might do like one. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen the Borg attack, and I didn't get into the Voyager series, so that covered a lot more of Borg encounters. The feedback pulse generators, I think if you're to do that correctly, because it's one per side, as a forever DM, I would pick one ship that had attacked and then try and do a counter attack on that attack. So whatever it is, that beam, if successfully done, would fire back at the ship that was attacking it. That would be very dangerous and very deadly. Um, just throwing it out there. It's a possibility. Now, because I don't have anything here, I'm just throwing it out as something to kind of knock people back. Um, whether I'm right or wrong, I mean, feel free to let me know. But I think it would be a very kind of tricky way of attacking someone back with their own weapons. So they hit you, you successfully counter it, and it essentially gets deflected back to them. Seeing that it's a feedback pulse generator. Uh, just kind of going off of that. Or if you want to put it in another way, if someone is attacking you, you can electively take that as a charge to then attack back on the next round if you wanted to do it in that regard. But either way, um, these are an interesting species that it looked like we were going to have as a main bad guy in the next generation, and it didn't really pan out as much. They did reoccur a couple times throughout the series, not as much as I thought it would. But then when we had Voyager, it became more of a constant threat for them, which works out for them. Um, but with all that being said, you know, it's interesting to try and come up with how are you going to have this big bad enemy happen. Knowing some of the things that have happened from Voyager, not everything. The fact that I think the main collective more or less got destroyed. I think if we had a bunch of these still floating around, that would still work out very well. Except what I would do differently is this: just to make it easier for a group, essentially, say the collective is kind of broke down, and if you hit one with a phaser, the second one doesn't automatically get a shield up to deflect against it. Maybe put it off at every 5 or every 10 or something like that. That way, it's a little easier for your players to be able to counter them uh, and kind of go from there. Same thing with the ships. If you destroy one ship, doesn't necessarily mean the next ship is going to know how to react to that because their overall collective may be down. So I'm just throwing that out as an idea. However, you run it in your own games, whether it's doing the D6, which is what I'm presenting here, you do a Decipher, Last Unicorn Games, which is what everyone calls Lug, Modifius, anyone, however you want to do it. Um, I think that would be just an interesting way of having it. So, with that, thank you so very much for stopping by. It's wonderful having you here. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.